Hi guys, welcome to another vlog. So a couple of days back I went for this event. It was basically sort of like an MBA tour where representatives of some business schools had come down and they were interacting with students. So I was invited by the organizers to speak to the students about the GMAT or about admissions in general. So I was there and I interacted with a lot of students during the day. So what I'd like to do is discuss 3 or 4 things that I came across when I was interacting with the students, and because these are things which I think could affect a lot of you guys. So it's a good idea if I discuss it in a public forum such as this one. So the first of those is people with a lot of experience. So for example, I met somebody with 9 years of experience at the event. And what this person was telling me is that he's hesitant to start with the GMAT because he's not sure if he'll be able to cope up with the math, the quant part of it. And the reason being the fact that he's been out of studies for 9 years now. And I get this from a lot of students, especially those who have a lot of experience. One thing they all say is, since we've been out of college for so long, will it not be difficult to cope up with quant? And the answer that I give this person is, the GMAT is not testing you on quant in the way you knew it in college. It is not testing you on hardcore math. It is testing you on how good you are with numbers. Can you work with numbers? So this person's background was in sales. So he used to do sales forecasting, he used to calculate discounts, margins, this and that. So he said, yeah, I'm very good with numbers. So my answer was, then there won't be a problem. Because, you may not get a 50, but you can easily get up to a 48, maybe even a 49 if you are comfortable working with numbers. As you guys must have seen, most of the GMAT quant questions don't even require some kind of a complex mathematical formula to solve. A lot of them require just some common sense and the ability to work with numbers, manipulate numbers, estimate in your head, those things. And those come best with experience, if you ask me, as in work experience. So if you've worked for a long time, you naturally tend to use these or make these calculations in your head. So if you ask me, having several years of experience is actually a good thing for your quant, it's not a bad thing. So it's definitely not something you should worry about. But when I said it to the student, I still thought he was a little hesitant. So then I sent him a test with 4 questions of math, 4 questions of English, and I told him to just try it out. He sent me his replies. He got all 4 wrong in English, 3 out of 4 correct in math. So I rest my case. And that's something I've seen, with a lot of students. Even people who think they are good in English struggle with GMAT English and they do better in GMAT math. So on the same note of people with a lot of experience, I'll make another point. Which is a lot of the times when you have several years of experience, like 8 years, 9 years, you are in the middle management of your company, which means you have a busy job, you normally are leading a team of people, you would also have to do a bit of traveling. So with you guys, what will happen is, your prep will be very inconsistent. So you will start with a lot of enthusiasm. After a couple of months, you will get occupied in some project or some work travel, some overseas assignment, and your prep will take a break. Again, after 3 months, you will realize, no, I should get started. Again, you will start, and again, after a month, there will be a break. So it will be very inconsistent. And if you've seen one of my earlier videos, the number one thing on your GMAT prep is consistency. It's not how many hours you put in, but how consistently you put in those hours. So for you guys with 8, 9, 10 years of experience, unless you are very, very self-motivated, I suggest you get a tutor on board. Could be a classroom coaching, could be a private tutor, whatever it is. Because you just need somebody, egging you on. Telling you that, okay, things are fine, you're doing fine, or you're not doing fine, or do this, make these changes. So, you can of course do it by yourself, but I've generally seen people with more years of experience not able to do so. So it would be good if you can get somebody on board who can continuously keep pushing you on. It will also be very, very important for you to work with the timeline. Don't start by saying, I will take the GMAT when I'm ready. Not a good idea. Start by saying, I'll take the GMAT in 4 months' time. 4 months I think is good enough for whatever to happen, and then work backward from there. Because then there will be some pressure on you, and you will have a deadline, to work with. Otherwise, you will never be able to, get started, or rather you will never be able to complete your prep and close it. For those of you who work in sales, there's something we call closing the deal. So you will never be able to close the deal, and it's an art, as you guys would know. So you would never be able to close the deal with the GMAT if you don't work with the deadline. So 3.5 to 4 months is max that you need. Consistent prep, 1 to 2 hours every day on weekdays, longer 5-6 hours on weekends, and that's about it. Whatever has to happen will happen in 3.5 or 4 months. So don't delay it more than that. So I met another student. Luckily, the student met me. I would say that because he had his exam scheduled for the next day. So he met me in the evening at 6 p.m. His exam was next day at 1 p.m. And he asked me for some last minute tips. So I said, 18 hours before the exam, what last minute tip do you want? I'll just wish you luck. But since he was adamant, I just asked him, I hope you have your passport. And he said, I have a photocopy. And I said, that wouldn't do. So then he said, no, but the GMAT also accepts other forms of ID. So let me say this clearly to all you guys. There are certain countries in which GMAT only accepts passport. Alright? And India is one of those countries. So if you are from India, in fact, I think all the countries in the Asia Pacific region, passport is the only ID that is accepted. The original copy of the passport, not a photocopy, a valid passport, not an expired passport. If you don't have it with you, they will turn you back, rest assured. If you are a US citizen or some other countries, then yeah, you can use some other forms of ID also. But if you are from India or any of these Asia Pacific countries, you would only need the passport. Nothing else will be accepted. So what happened with that student? He is not from Delhi, by the way. He stays around 6 hours away from Delhi. So he was planning to go to his hometown, drive through the night, come back in the morning because his GMAT was at 1 p.m. I haven't heard from him after the GMAT, so I'm assuming it did not go too well because, that would have ruined his entire, mental state. Driving for 12 hours or at least traveling for 12 hours before your GMAT is not what you want. So please fix your passport issues. Passport is the only ID that will be accepted in India. Okay, so I met this student over there who said she was going to be starting her prep all by herself, which I was absolutely okay with. I always encourage it. And she wanted some tips on how she should go about self-preparation. So I gave her my usual answer of working in 3 stages: accuracy, time management, and your full length tests. I've covered these in an earlier vlog, so you can go and check it out. So I gave her the answer and then I just asked her, so what material are you planning to use for theory? And she said OG. So I said OG is good for questions, but what about theory? And she still said OG. So then I told her this, and I'll tell you guys also this. The OG is not going to be sufficient for theory, particularly for sentence correction. Because in critical reasoning, reading comprehension, there is not a lot of theory that's required. But sentence correction is very, very rule based. There's a lot of concept theories that you need to kind of understand before you target questions, and those are not there in the OG. So the OG is a great book. I always start with the OG, but only as a source of questions. I've never ever bothered with the OG as a source of theory content. So my advice to the student was to get some good reference books. Doesn't necessarily have to be Aristotle Prep. You can get any other book you want, but Aristotle books are very, very good. But seriously, I don't think the OG is going to be sufficient for theory. You definitely want to start with the OG upfront, but only as a source of questions. For theory, get some other good reference book. Don't depend on the OG. So I met a few other students also and came across some interesting insights that I'll share with you guys in some other vlog. I think that should be it for today. So today is a Sunday and it's race day. Those of you who follow Formula 1 racing, today is the Japanese Grand Prix and I'm off to watch that now. That's the only sport that I religiously follow. So I'm off to watch the race now. I shall see you guys tomorrow in a new vlog. Have a nice day.